Hi everyone and welcome back. Welcome to another videos on Svelte.js. In last couple of videos we talked about handling the forms in Svelte.js. Now we are talking about stores. Stores are like a very popular word in the front-end framework. Store means some kind of a state management solutions. In React we talked about Redux, Mbox, Recoil.js or Xstate or a lot of different state management solutions, right? But when I looked at the documentation for Svelte provides some minimal store implementation. It's very lightweight and you have to write only couple of lines of code. So it's really nice and clean and it is reactive in nature. That means your store is a reactive and you have to subscribe to the store whenever you wanted to capture the value which is being emitted from the store. So Svelte supports something called store. Store are just a plain JavaScript object that adhere simple interface. We can also implement a same kind of a Svelte store by our own definition. Svelte doesn't care. Svelte has some built-in store methods. Just it contains some JavaScript plain vanilla objects, and you do subscribe methods that returns the functionality, and you can just unsubscribe if you do not want to listen to the changes happening inside a store. So what it is doing, store allows you to access the data or the functionality of multiple components. Why we need a store? First of all, the old school question, we wanted to externalize the data so that any components can directly go and talk to the store and fetch the data. We don't need to depend on the parent component. We don't need to emit the component event to the parent component and then that component give you the data. No, I know the store. I can directly go and I can subscribe to the store and I will start receiving the values from the store. Okay, so store state management, it's like a common term. Why you need a state management for your front-end application? Obviously to externalize the state, to decouple the components in the front-end framework, and when your application grows, where you have hundreds of the components, it's better that you manage the store outside so that any components without depending on without creating this kind of a component tree, you can directly go and talk to the store and get the data you need. Okay, when I looked into the implementation, how we are doing how we are creating the store, so I will do it. Let me create a simple file. So I will do create store dot svelte. Okay, and let's see, I have a script tag. I'm creating a kind of component. I'm just writing a simple code. Here I'm creating a simple counter. And how we can create it? We can just import. So there are different kind of store you can create: writable, readable, and derived. I'm not going into the definition for now. We are creating a writable store because this writable store allows us or exposes two different methods. One is, I think, set and update. That using that you can actually update the values, update the JavaScript object inside a store, and whoever is subscribing to that store will be able to get the updated value. So it's like you initialize the state. Okay, and what we can do is we just need to subscribe the value. So here is a let value, and then what you will do, you subscribe const because we also need to unsubscribe it. So what I'm doing is I created a counter. I will do subscribe on top of that, and whatever the value it has, we are going to assign it to this value variable. So what we are doing here is, from the value which is coming from the store, it can be in different file, we are updating the local value which we have with the value coming from the store by doing a subscribe. And we already know there are three lifecycle methods: update, on mount, and on destroy. Once you are done, you can destroy the subscription. Plain and simple. We create a writable store we subscribe the writable store to get the data, and then we finally unsubscribe this. Okay, so this is plain and simple. This works, but it's like tedious, right? What you need to do is you need to subscribe the values, and then you need to get the data, something like this. Okay, but what you can do is you can prefix dollar, and Svelte will handle all the subscription and unsubscription. Okay, you can relate this to the async pipe. Okay, if you remember async pipe in Angular, what it used to do is, if you are subscribing the observable, how to, there is an observable Rx JS object, and let's say this is const obj, this is observable. If you wanted to get the data from this, you need to do subscribe. Okay, subscribe and get the data, and then you need to take care of, okay, unsubscribing this, which we are doing here. Instead of this, so this is how we do it. We get the observable object, we do the subscribe, and we can also use Rx operators to change the stream, because this is nothing but a stream. Observable is a stream of data, and we always need to take care of unsubscribe. Okay, I wanted to get rid of that, so there is a solution which Svelte also provides. Okay, what you can do is, in your HTML, you don't need to worry about, okay, I need to subscribe and subscribe. I can use simply dollar and the counter. So it will take care of subscribing, unsubscribing, and it will give you the direct the value, whatever is inside this. So Svelte compiler looks for the dollar and always say, okay, this must be a store. Let me subscribe to it, and I will unsubscribe from it. So when the component is removed, so the whole thing is done internally. We don't need to subscribe and unsubscribe. Coming to the store, when you look into the documentation, you will see there are three different kind of stores are available. Readable, second is writable, which are kind of simple, I think, and derived store. Okay, from the name it's clear. Writable store is something which we have created. It exposes the set and I think update method. Like this, currently I'm subscribing to it, but maybe in some other component where I'm going to decrease or increase or decrease the counter value, there I will be calling dot update method to update the value. Okay, let's say this is the writable 0, right? And I'm subscribing to this, and then in some other component, what I will do is I can just do all these things, store dot set to, whenever you are changing the value, right? So here we have a counter dot set to, it will trigger the subscription, and whoever is subscribing, they will receive the updated value. This is the one way, or you can do another thing is dot update, and whatever the current value inside this store, and I'm just going to do n+1. I'm just increasing the count. These are the two different ways which will trigger the subscription cycle, and whoever is subscribing, they will receive the updated value. Okay, so this is the writable. So Svelte provide these three kind of store from the library: writable, readable, and derived. Technically these are just all same with a little variations. Writable exposes these two methods, set and update. Readable doesn't expose these methods, but internally it uses these to update the value. And derived is something, okay, I'm going to look into the other store, and when there is a change, I will update my value. Let's say you are using shopping cart application, and there is a total variable which you are calculating every time whenever there is items are increasing and decreasing. So what you are looking at the item store. If the item store value is increased, you always wanted to calculate the total price, right? So in that case, you can use a derived store. In the derived store, it will look for the values, and it will create it will update the value. Okay, so this is just a simple introduction, like what all these are. We are going to talk in depth, like how we are creating these different store, readable, writable, and derived store. And what is the, I mean, how we do it? We create a writable store, we subscribe it, we update the values, and we unsubscribe it. Or if you don't want it to unsubscribe, we can just use a dollar variable. This is a basic introduction. Let's take a look more and more examples on this.